Hi, everyone. This is Renee Rentmeester. I'm the creator and executive producer of the Cooking Without Looking TV show and podcast. And today we have a very special guest. We have Lea Cazares. Lea, welcome.
Hi.
How
Thank you
are
for having me
you?
on the show. Good. How are you?
Good, 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 good. Well, you know what? We always like to call this like coffee with friends. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am a stay-at-home mom, and that's my 2-year-old playing with her toys. I'm sorry. I She got hold of one. She has the
That's
longest arms
okay,
ever.
Chloe
She did
Ann.
not get them from me. I am like 4'11". I'm short, so my husband's telling me he reaches all the stuff that I can't. But I have been cooking. Okay, so let me start with I am totally blind. My husband is also totally blind. And I have been cooking since I was like 10. I just got in the kitchen and I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. I like food and started cooking and just playing and figuring things out. My favorite holiday to cook, favorite thing to cook is Thanksgiving dinner. And for years I would like do 2 or 3 Thanksgiving dinners every year. I would do like a trial run, the real deal, and then, let's do a third one just for fun.
Oh my God, you're
And
a glutton for punishment. I mean,
I
I
know.
totally get that because I'm like you. I love making Thanksgiving dinner, but it's like,
Mhm.
okay, just one dinner. Okay.
Oh no, I I've done like 2 or 3 Thanksgiving dinners for years. This Thanksgiving we
So do you invite everyone over? Is it
did
like
chicken and we're like,
free?
we're gonna pretend like this is a turkey.
So do you have like one day, one on Thanksgiving and one after, or three
So
in a row?
we do like a test one where I might try a new recipe or something and invite friends over and they'll tell me, okay, I like this, this is good, this is bad, this is what I think. And then we do Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving. And then sometimes we'll do like, Thanksgiving was so great. We should do another one after Thanksgiving.
Oh my God, that's awesome. That's really cool. I've never heard
Yeah.
anyone do that. So
Yeah.
you're like Thanksgiving out by the time Christmas comes, right?
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about your blindness.
Okay, so I was born sighted, and I had developed or got what's called CMV, cytomegalovirus, and it's I don't know, like virus that it attached my retinas, and I by the time they found out I was going blind, I was already totally blind in my left eye, almost blind in my right eye. Took me in for eye surgery, and I was blind, totally blind. And, and they're like, well, sometimes it just happens, I guess. So they thought maybe I had cat scratch fever for a minute, but then they're like, no,
Oh,
it's
that's a real
CMV. So
thing?
yeah. And
Wow.
I grew up with a ton of animals. We had like a zoo when I was a kid. We had everything. We had cats, dogs, birds, ducks, snakes, a lot of snakes.
Oh my God,
So
snakes.
yeah. hmm
Well, you said we talked a little earlier. Were you in Wisconsin? You were from Milwaukee?
So I used to live, I've lived all over the place, honestly. I lived in Milwaukee before I lived here because that's where my husband was. He moved there for work, and I moved there to be with him. And but before that, I was in North Carolina.
Oh wow.
hmm I
So
grew up in Oklahoma. When I was a kid, I was in South Carolina and Florida. I lived in Texas for about a few months ago. I lived all over.
oh wow. You're sort of like the Google Map human.
Yeah.
Well, so when did you become totally blind? How old were you?
I was 8.
Oh wow. Now how did you take it? How did your parents take it? What went on there?
Okay, so my mom died when I was 6, and when she died, I moved in with my aunt and uncle because my dad had a job. He was a truck driver. He wasn't able to take care of me. And so I moved in with my aunt and uncle, and my aunt was an LPN, and it just, we just, it's just, this is our new reality. We had, this, I had a great friend of mine who worked in the school district. She was a guidance counselor in the school district, and she was in what's called ESA. It's kind of like the Lions Club, but a little bit different.
Mhm.
Because it was a small town, small school district, I didn't have, all the equipment and everything that I needed, like JAWS and computers and Braille writers and everything. So she started doing all these fundraisers to raise money to buy all these equipment like Braille displays, embossers, everything, and just really did a lot for me. And it was just a crazy thing.
So were you in a regular school or were you in
I was in public school.
right,
I was
right.
in public school up until the seventh grade, eighth grade, and then I was like, please let me go to the blind school. Let me go be with other blind people because I didn't know any other blind people. And my aunt sent me to the blind school, and I really learned confidence and independence. And I learned how to do my laundry. And there was just like so many life skills and social skills and stuff that I got out of going to I got there too, because we did a lot of different cooking and whatnot. And so I was like, this is great.
Oh my gosh, so that's great. It's sort of like a pun intended, opened your eyes and
Mm-hmm.
you must have felt more comfortable, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and it was great. Like I was a residential student, so I would go to school on Sundays and then come home on Fridays and only be home on the weekends and be at school during the week. And so it was like being in college, but as a middle school, high school kid.
Wow. So what happened with your friends that were back at home? Did you help them understand about what you were going through?
Yeah, so I had taught some of my friends how to read and write Braille, and we would write each other notes in class, and the teacher's like, well, that's cool. They're writing Braille, they're doing something fun. And we're like, yeah, we're writing letters in class and
Oh my God, that's so cool. I think you're the first person I've ever heard who did that. But that's a
my own
wonderful
little
thing.
side business of teaching my friends Braille.
Your sighted friends, right?
Yeah, they were sighted. And this is when I was in public school.
Oh my God, that's so cool. What fun. Well, so then what happened after that? Did you go to college? Did you get a job? What happened?
So when I graduated high school, I moved across the country from Oklahoma to North Carolina where my sister lived and her dad and them lived, and got into the vending program. And with my facility that I did, it was just like a snack bar, like a gas station. I didn't do any cooking or anything, but I got into the vending program for a little bit, but then they were moving people out of my building, and all of a sudden I went from making a lot of money every month to making like $50 a month, and it wasn't enough. And so I got out of the vending program, and then at that point I had met my husband, and I was like, well, I'll just go live with you, and moved across the country again, moved in with him, and by that point I had a different job. I started working through IFB Solutions, and I did a quality analyst. So I did monitoring communications through financial student aid. So I did that from home and did that for a few years, and then my husband and I got married and found out we were going to have this little one here. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm not going to work anymore, and stopped working.
Well, let's
Uh,
backtrack a little. How did you and your husband meet?
oh, okay. So I had gone in 2012 and got a guide dog. And when I went to New York for training, I met this girl, and she's like, hey, let's get on Skype and talk to other people, pull them into the conversations and whatnot. And she's like, I have this friend. You need to meet him. You need to talk to him. I'm like, okay. So she got me introduced to my husband, and and she's like, talk to him. he's great. And I'm like, I don't know. He likes to, likes to exercise, and I like to cook and eat. I'm not real big into exercising. And but we just kept talking, and it just, I don't know, talking, and it just went on. We've been married for over 3 years now.
Wow, that's great. And you have the crowning jewel, little Chloe Ann.
Hmm.
That's so wonderful. Chloe Ann, I take it is sighted?
Yes, so she seems to have pretty good vision. She was born with so glaucoma runs on my husband's side of the family. She was born with bilateral congenital cataracts. And so when she was like a month old, she had to have eye surgery to get them removed.
Wow.
And her retinas were enlarged as well. And she had to wear these giant, thick glasses that had like a elastic band that went around the back of her head. And she had to wear those to help prevent nystagmus, but she still has a little bit of nystagmus, but it's very minor. But she seems to have pretty good vision. She seems to be able to see
When that
pretty
happened,
well.
and you and your husband being totally blind,
Mhm.
what did you feel at that point? Leah?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's
what did you feel at that point when you found out that this was happening with her eyesight?
Well, we felt confident that we would know how to handle if she was blind. We have the skills that we need to teach her whatever she needed to know. And we're like, well, if she's visually impaired, like we know how to do whatever we need to do. Like we know how to cook and clean and do laundry and computers and mobility and everything. Like we have the skills to teach her whatever she needs to know.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So you
Hmm.
were like far and ahead. A lot of parents who have a child with vision issues, and you guys like were able to catch the pop-up ball, so to speak.
Hmm.
Well, so tell us what it's like to be a parent of a little one and dashing about, especially at 2 years old.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? A parent at
No problem. What is it like to be a parent of a little one who's
oh,
2 years old and they're dashing about and you're trying to dash after them? What is that like?
so I practice walking with her around our home, holding my hand, like hold my hand and let's walk. And she did very good. So then we went out and about and went, somewhere down the road, and we're like, okay, hold my hand. And but I mean, it's just a lot of fun. She's just such a good girl.
Oh, that's great. Now,
Yeah.
do you still have a guide dog?
I don't. My husband does. I've applied for a guide dog. I'm another one because I've had one in the past. And I gotten one about over a year ago, but he got sent back to the school because I got sick and couldn't work him. So he got sent back to school, and I recently applied to get another dog. So I'm going through the process of that.
Wow, well, we're sort of bearing the lead here. Tell us a
Hmm.
little bit about that sickness, about um,
Hmm.
the aneurysm.
Yeah, so there's like a whole year in my memory that's wiped out that I don't remember. Like, I remember meeting my husband, I remember getting pregnant, I remember having her, but I don't remember her first birthday. So there's like a year that kind of I don't remember the dog that I received right before I had the brain aneurysm. Um, but my husband went to a going away party thing for us to move to Kentucky and at his previous job. And I had texted him like, "Hey, the baby, isn't doing well. I'm going to put her down for a nap and come later and da da da." And I never showed up, and he started getting worried. And he had noticed that I had miscalled him, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to go home." But a friend that he worked with offered to give him a ride. Otherwise, it would have taken him like an hour on the bus. So this lady drove him home, And he gets out, he comes into the building and goes up the elevator, comes out and he hears our baby crying. And he's like, man, it must have been hard. Like she sounds very unhappy. And he comes into the apartment. And when he walks into the apartment, he hears this weird noise. And his dog, who he still has, dropped down on the floor. And it was me laying on the floor. And I was doing what's called the death rattle, which is like congested breathing.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah. And and he's like, something's bad happening. And so he called 911 and it took them like 2 minutes to get to our place. And he called his friend back. He's like, I don't know what's going on, but it's bad. Something's happening. Can you come and, come back? And so his friend had came back and stayed with our daughter while he went to the emergency room with me. And, and they asked him like, what's been going on? Like, what's happened? They're like, we don't know. So they checked me out and found out that I had suffered a brain aneurysm. Most people, and mind you, I was laying on the floor for like 6 or 7 hours. Most people die within 20 to 40 minutes after suffering a brain aneurysm. I went 6 or 7 hours with no treatment, no nothing, and I somehow survived.
Oh, well, you must have something wonderful that's meant for you to do
That's
in
what
the
everybody
world.
keeps telling me. I'm like, yeah, I have a 2-year-old. She needs her
Oh,
mommy, I guess.
most definitely. But so you have loved cooking for a long, long time.
Oh
Tell us
yeah.
about your cooking journey and then share with us your Mexican casserole recipe.
Okay, so like I said, I started cooking when I was 10. I was like, I want something to eat and I'm by myself, so I'm going to start cooking. And then I started to cook a little bit more when I was in high school as part of our school stuff that we did. And my favorite class was cooking class. And one of my favorite teachers was the cooking teacher, our facts class. And and then when I moved out on my own, I had started going to the grocery store to get my groceries, and the lady that helped me shop was just incredible. And she's like, let me tell you a secret. Like, the butcher is the smartest person in the grocery store. You go to the butcher and you ask him how to cook things, and where things they know. And so I'd go to the butcher and be like, I want to make, this meal, and he would tell me exactly how to cook things. And then I started Googling how to cook things, and I had, I started calling like friends and stuff, like my grandmother and whatnot. And I was like, how do you do this and that? And I just get in there and try things and kept trying and sometimes, messed up and tried again next time.
Well, that's a great attitude because that's really all you do.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody makes mistakes cooking, and cooking is more forgiving, I guess, than baking is,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, more chemical. But you can play around with your cooking, and if you mess up a little bit, there's always some sort of a way to fix it as well.
Yeah, one of the first meals I cooked for my husband was pork chops. And
Oh, it can't go
they
wrong.
they did. They were still raw. I was like, whoops, sorry. Let's throw them in the oven and cook them again.
Well, you know what? There's a trick that I learned from a lot of people who are blind over the years.
Yeah.
And when something is done, you actually smell it, whether it's meat,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a cake or cookies. And I bet you know that trick as well.
Yeah.
So tell us, give us your Mexican casserole recipe, which is on our website at www.cookingwithoutlookingtv.wordpress.com. It was recipe of the day.
Yay. Sorry, you kind of cut it out. What would you say? Give us what?
Okay, it's just give us the recipe
Okay.
for your Mexican casserole.
Okay, so I'm gonna read it. It's 1 small onion, 2 garlic cloves optional, 1 jalapeno pepper chopped or any spicy pepper if you want, it's optional. And sometimes I substitute that with bell peppers. 1 pound ground beef lean, 1 canned beans. I prefer dark red kidney beans. Sometimes I do black beans or pinto beans, or I do a couple of cans of beans. 1 can of diced tomatoes. I like the ones with green chilies because I like it spicy, but
Oh,
now that
those
I
are
have a
good.
2-year-old, I skipped out on the green chilies. 1 can ounce, 1 10-ounce can of cream of mushroom soup, 1 10-ounce can of cream of chicken soup. And one of the things that I do that is unique to me that my sister doesn't do is I put in a packet of Hidden Valley Ranch seasoning powder,
Oh, that
1
sounds good.
pack of taco seasoning, and I usually prefer hot, but again, 2-year-old, we don't do hot now. And then a pack of shredded cheese, like a 32-ounce pack of shredded cheese. My husband prefers it to be less cheesier than me, so I kind of go a little less cheesy for him. And then a pack of Doritos. Again, I prefer spicy, but with the 2-year-old, I do regular. Or you can do the ranch Doritos. So then what you do is you brown the ground beef with the chopped onions and garlic and peppers and everything. You just saute all the veggies and brown up the meat. And then mix in the soups, any of the beans, tomatoes, like you mix everything all up together so it's all this big gooey thing. And I usually do it in a bowl because it's a lot and it doesn't fit in. And then I usually try to warm it up just a little bit. Just, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, because it helps it cook a little faster if you're making it for dinner. And then using a 9 by 13-inch pan, start off with a layer of the stuff that you mixed up together, and then layer it with the Doritos like a lasagna, and then some of the mix, and then Doritos, mixed Dorito, and you can add in the shredded cheese in with the layers if you want cheese and make it cheesy. Top off with the mix of the beans and mushroom soup, cream of chicken soup, all that stuff, and then sprinkle with some cheese on top. Bake it in the oven on 350 for about half an hour because everything's cooked. You're just, melting the cheese and settling everything.
Oh, wow.
So, yep. And then it's fantastic the next day too because it sets and yeah, so that's pretty much the recipe. And then I have some notes on if you don't have taco seasoning mix, what you can use as a substitute. So that's like 2 tablespoons cumin, a half a tablespoon or half a teaspoon, sorry, not tablespoon, teaspoon of black pepper, oregano, garlic, chili. So that's the substitute. If you don't have taco seasoning, you can mix those.
Oh, wow. That sounds
hmm
amazing. Hey, and are you a big sour cream fan? Can you use sour cream on the top to like when you serve it?
Yeah, if you want to.
Black olives?
Yeah. I mean, it's a whatever you want recipe, honestly.
Sure, exactly. Well, that sounds good. I was thinking while you were talking, like you said, your husband doesn't like as much cheese. You could almost
hmm
make 2 pans and make one with more cheese than the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or what I've done in the past is I put more cheese on the left side and less cheese on the right side.
sure.
You get the right side, I get the left side.
Hey, that makes sense. That makes it a lot easier. Well, Leah, what would you say, first of all, to parents who might have a child who was blind? And then what would you say to a person who has gone blind? What kind of thoughts do you have on that?
Oh, you're kind of cutting. Oh no, it says my internet connection's unstable. Oh no, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here. I'm
Okay,
here.
yeah, I got a message saying my internet connection's unstable. That's weird because we have high-speed internet.
Well, that's okay. That's the way the old computer and the internet bounces. So, don't worry. Well, we sort of lost Leah, but maybe she will come back. And when she comes back, this is again Renee Rentmeester. I'm the creator and executive producer of the Cooking Without Looking show and podcast. Please go to our website at www.cookingwithoutlookingtv.wordpress.com. Please consider giving to Vision World Foundation. It's a link right at the top of our page. Again, that's cookingwithoutlookingtv.wordpress.com. And as we say, we're changing the way we see blindness. Have a wonderful day and enjoy yourself. Thank you so much, Leah.